Hi, everyone. My name is Madeleine Holly-Rosing. I am the writer-creator of the steampunk supernatural series, Boston Metaphysical Society. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's about an ex-Pinkerton detective, a spirit photographer, and a genius scientist who battles supernatural forces in late 1800s Boston.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily C.A. Snyder. I am a voice actor and many other hats, as many people are. But in this case, I get to voice the role of Caitlin O'Sullivan, who is the spirit photographer and medium and an Irish lass from Boston. And I'm very glad to be here and to be on your wee little podcast.
Oh, I do have to mention that Emily and I actually did meet. She lives in New York. I live in California. When I was at New York Comic Con, she joined me on Friday and worked the table and did it in character as Caitlin and charmed the hell out of people and sold stuff. I go to the bathroom and I come back and there'll be cash on the table. So she and I are going to be talking later about me hiring her to come for a day next year if you know you're willing and able, because as she discovered, it's really hard work, because I think you went home and crashed after that, didn't you? You didn't even wake up till the next morning.
I did. No.
That was one
now I know to bring even better footwear. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was the first time I got to go to New York Comic Con, even though I've been here this whole time. And it was really delightful to meet you, Madeleine, and honestly to watch you as you describe the world of everything, since you've been living with these characters and in this world for so long. So I was just an apprentice at your feet.
For those of you who, like I said, who are new, we started out with a 6-issue graphic novel and have expanded into 4 sequels. Art by Emily Hugh and Gwen Tavares. There's also prose, 2 prequels to the graphic novel, the novel Storm of Secrets and the anthology Prelude. So I decided to add to my repertoire of doing an audio drama, which I entirely blame on Eddie Louise, mainly because you don't know, Eddie Louise and Chip Michael are part of my production team, and they are the co-creators of Sage and Savant, which was on for 4 years as an audio drama, a steampunk sci-fi. And so when she convinced me to do this, I said, well, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, so you have to work for me. So I hired her and Chip. And Chip does the engineering. He was the director, and he's also the composer. So he wears many hats. This is a very lean and mean team, as they say. Eddie Louise was a script editor and overall mentor in educating me in this production, in this world, and the business itself. So when this story, The Ghost Ship, was originally, how do I describe it? I originally developed Boston Metaphysical as a TV pilot when I was at an MFA program at UCLA. And one of the classes I took required us to write a 5th episode, meaning that if you can write a 5th episode, then the series has legs. So The Ghost Ship actually was that 5th episode. And so I adapted it. It's changed a lot from that original story. The core story remained the same. The core premise remained the same. But I added in, like Thomas Edison, I actually added in later, and I changed some crucial things. Because it was going into a different medium. It was no longer visual, it was auditory, and I knew that some things just were not going to work. And Eddie Louise agreed that that's not gonna work. So I did research on how to write an audio drama. There's actually a number of websites. The BBC has a ton of scripts. And just so I would have it structured so the production team and the actors could read it and and basically know where the hell they were on the page, be able to follow along. You know, that's kind of important.
It was very helpful.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that since I'm a visual writer, obviously coming from, screen to comics and, and prose, I would first think of things visually, then have to translate them into auditory. And probably that wasn't as difficult as making sure as the writing wasn't over expositional. I tried very hard to keep the narration down to the bare minimum, just enough to clarify anything and move us on to the next scene. But yeah, it was a real interesting experience. And if we go into a second season, which would be a new story, the Ghost Ship is a complete story, standalone, within the Boston Metaphysical universe. It actually takes place during the original 6-issue miniseries. I kind of refer to it as the case files of the Boston Metaphysical Society, and it kind of fits in between what's going on in the original 6-issue miniseries. So there are a couple little things that are said or hinted at in the Ghost Ship that refers to that, but it never goes into it deeply at all. So yeah, it was a challenge, but it was fun.
I'll tell you my journey, shall I? Basically, there are a couple different sites that will mention that there are auditions for audio dramas. And what Madeleine did, since it comes from a graphic novel background, is they had gorgeous art already for just the title of the Ghost Ship. And I saw that, and I think I bookmarked it, like started, favorited it, and like took a screenshot to remind myself to audition for this thing. Because it's so much the genre that I love. I love that it's a bit of mystery, a bit of adventure. The time period is one of my favorite time periods. I am not quite 70% Irish myself and am from the Boston area. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And one of the things that they asked you to do was to go to the website, and where you can actually see a bit. Is it the whole of that first 6 issues, Madeleine?
It's yeah. The full 6 issues are on the website that you can read it online. Yeah.
Yeah. And so reading that, seeing the art, it was very different from any other audio drama project which I've done. One of the things that I love about this that's different from other audio dramas I've been in is that there is already an established world. When you're doing other voiceover work, it can be very like, okay, here's your part, just record your part. Or sometimes you're filling in for someone who had to leave the project and you're trying to match your voice. But this one, I'm still grateful. I'm aware that Madeleine has been living with the character of Caitlin for a long time, and it's an honor to try to embody her. But it's also such a gift to have all this background that I can read and study the character and get to know her, so that even the things that are just referenced or hinted at or are going to come in future graphic novels, we all as a cast can sort of do the hints and the background and the subtext, because we know what the story has been, we know where the story goes, we know where we are in this world. So it's very exciting, and it's very unlike any other audio drama I've done. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, we were really fortunate too to have, Eddie, Louise, and Chip involved, because Chip is he's really nice, but he's a bit of a taskmaster. And I mean, I know that I wanted to direct some of the episodes, but it was pretty clear to me that I needed to shadow him more. So I just said, just go ahead and finish up the 8 episodes, because I myself need to learn more, because I'm learning a ton from him. But he they have a very specific way of doing things that I learned is not really the norm for these kinds of projects. And first of all, when we brought the finalists together, we brought them all to Eddie Louise set up a Zoom meeting and breakout rooms. And then we would rotate the Caitlins and the Samuels and the Granvilles around so they would all play off each other. So we, as the production team, could see how they sounded and responded to each other, who responded well to direction, and the balance of voices. And then when we made our final cut, what we did, or rather what Chip and Eddie Louise set up, was we got onto Zoom again. So people could see each other and play off of one another, did run-throughs with Chip giving directions so they could get notes. And then we all moved over to Zencastr and did just a complete run-through. And then what Chip did would pull out, say, like Emily's voice for the track and send that to her. So when she was recording, she could hear her cast mates and be able to play off of them. And so he did that for everybody, for all the major cast members, not the walk-ons, of course.
That was
and I think that really helped you. I would assume that would.
That was incredible because, again, with other audio dramas, you might have a read-through with the whole cast there. Not always, though. And so sometimes you're just recording your lines. You have no idea what anyone else sounds like. And then you just send it into the void and hope that the editor can put it all together. But this was much more of a theatrical experience, even though we crossed many different time zones. And it reminded me very much, actually, of how the audio dramas are done in England, where they will get everyone into a single room, and therefore they are playing off each other live. So Chip having this method where he would record us all together live and then send you the file just without your voice in it. So you're listening and you're still responding to your castmates and to the choices they're making. And you get a sense of who they are so that you can, you bond as a cast and you get to know each other's tics and the way they'll probably say the line. And it makes such a difference. It makes such a difference. And I think it makes it stronger.
I definitely think it makes it stronger. And what was really encouraging to me is that we did have a couple pivotal roles that were just, say, for one scene. Like we had the Harbor Master and, escapes me now, of course. But
it's a surprise. You'll find out when you hear it.
Surprise. But I think it was Rob Davis. I think it was Rob Davis or Rob Davies who came in for just that one scene. And this was a long process. I mean, this took a couple hours. Actually, I think we were on for almost 3 hours doing all of this. But even those people who had just, a single scene, they hung out. They stayed for the whole thing and then came back. And I think they all said we had so much fun. And of course, it was during the pandemic. So I think people are really having fun talking to other people. And the actors were like, oh, wow, another voice actor. And they're like, they had the best time being able to interact. And we got terrific performances out of everyone. And just as a reminder, we are running a Kickstarter for this audio drama, which is going on right now. We have 6 more days left. We are fully funded and we're heading towards our second stretch goal. But also what I want to point out is that we have 2 audio samples on the Kickstarter homepage for people to listen to. The first one is just a small excerpt from the first scene in episode 1, where you meet Samuel, Caitlin, and Granville. The second one is a very charming song with Emily and a young man named Ryan Hoyle, who plays Jimmy McLaren, who's a major supporting character. And, I remember putting in the casting notices, like, just be able to carry a tune. That's all I really care about, just enough so it, no, it's not like fingernails on chalkboard, right? I'd be happy with that. So, of course, Chip being Chip said, no, I want you to harmonize, and no, I want this, and no, I want that. And Emily and Ryan delivered in spades. So I can't tell you the gist of why this song is being sung, because that's a huge spoiler. But you will, if you listen to it, it starts out very rough and then comes together very strong at the end with harmonization. And there's actually a point to all that. But like I said, that's a spoiler, so I can't give it. But but the point is, Emily and Ryan are just superlative singers, and listening to them was like, will give you chills when you listen to this. So I got way beyond my wish of like, just be able to carry a tune. Like, oh my God, they're so good. I can't believe this. Yay. It was very exciting.
I also want to say, for anyone who's a fan of the graphic novel, that one of the things in turning it over from visual to audio was the question of, like, when you read the comic book, for example, and I'll just talk about Caitlin in this case, it's visually, she'll have, oh, I'm feeling or seeing spirits, things like that. And because there are no visuals in this, I was so glad to have Madeleine and the whole creative staff there, but because it's a question of, okay, what does this sound, what does something that's usually visual and is only happening in someone's head sound like? How can we get the sense of this spirit world like without visuals? So it was very neat to sort of come up with an audio landscape for everything, as well as I'm also very excited personally. I like how Madeleine did the exposition, because I kept thinking, which is a big compliment, because as they say in that great piece of cinema, The Great Muppet Caper, it's exposition, it has to go somewhere. But what was so cool is I kept thinking of my little nephew, who's about 12 years old, who wants to be an inventor, and here's actual steampunk science stuff in the real world with a real historical character of Granville Woods. And so you end up getting so much. You get story, but you also, I went and did a bunch of Wikipediaing after that, because I wanted to know more. So, as well as just personally, I think you really drew out beautifully the difficulties of the Irish at the turn of the century, which is stories that I've heard from my own, of my ancestors and what they've gone through. So I thought that was beautifully drawn. And again, a piece of history that could easily be forgotten. So.
Yeah, well, I'm actually part Irish too. So yeah, from way back. I'm an all-American mutt, but yeah, part of that's Irish.
Right.
We have MP3 downloads. For $22, you can get MP3 download of all 8 episodes. They should be done January, February of next year. Chip is actually supposed to deliver the first pass of episode 1 to me sometime this weekend. And once we've already worked out a lot of the little things like the music and the themes and everything. Once that's done, the rest is going to be a lot easier for him, because it's just, okay, this is settled, this is settled, this is settled. And it'll be like little stuff after that. We also have a very cool flash drive, which I looked everywhere for. It's not actually from an American clipper ship, because a Ghost ship is an American clipper ship. But it's a oval wooden flash drive with it'll The image of an American clipper ship will be on it, along with the ghost ship on the other side. Alejandro Lee, who you probably know, Tyler, did the artwork for that. We will also have a 5-disc CD set available. It'll be available in a jewel case, plus both digital and physical copies of the trade paperback and the 4 sequels, along with the other prose books. So, and there are digital packages and physical packages, whatever suits people.
You can find me, Emily C.A. Snyder, just like the pretzel, but no relation. If you put that into, Twitter, there is a TikTok, but I never use it. Emily C.A. Snyder official or emilycasnyder.info, and you'll be able to find me on all the things. Feel free to connect.
And you can find me at BostonMetaphysicalSociety.com, on Facebook, Boston Metaphysical Society Comic, Twitter, M. Holly-Rosing, Instagram, MCH or M. Holly1, I think it is. I use Instagram mainly for fun. But if you go to Kickstarter, you just type in the Ghost Ship or Boston Metaphysical, and it should come right up.